ladies. Good to see you guys again.
Hey.
Likewise.
So I heard everything while I was trying to get on.
Okay.
So we started talking a little bit about how this all happened for each of you and your stories. So Erin, did you want to continue on with what you were sharing?
I think that's about it. I was just saying I got certified as a personal trainer, and so in addition to the blog now, I also do that. I teach some classes here in Chicago, and so it's really just writing about how to find that balance, how to live your best life, and how to have a more complete sense of wellness and health going forward.
Yes, thanks, Erin, for sharing.
Yeah.
Maddy, let's hear your story. What are you all about?
All right. I'm about a lot of stuff, but in terms of this topic, so my blog is Chicago Cheap Ass, which is kind of like an in-your-face lifestyle guide to Chicago with a thrifty, I guess, edge to it. And I originally started that blog kind of as like a creative outlet / I guess you could also call it a portfolio piece of sorts, just because digital marketing is my main career interest. And when I started that blog, I was working at a job that was sales oriented, and it just really wasn't something that I was feeling. So I guess I was trying to use the blog to get to the next level of just like a different marketing job. But then what ended up happening is I ended up quitting that sales job so that I could take my interest in blogging to the next level. So I actually have another blog, which is just a whole nother responsibility, which is called the-blogsmith.com. So that blog is more of like my sort of professional side, portfolio piece, but also really touching on different digital marketing subjects that I think are interesting, and trying to add content that's not just like everything else out there, not super like how to, but like here's another way of looking at things, or here's something you might not have known, or a tool you haven't discovered yet. So, the blogs, they're connected in that one kind of inspired the next. And it was Chicago Cheap Ass that really helped me gain the confidence to be able to quit my job and know that I had like this proof of concept in blogging.
Fantastic. So
what was that?
When did I what?
What was that?
When did you guys
start the blog? Erin, go first if you want.
I started it in September of 2013, so it's almost 3 years ago.
Okay, and then for you, Maddy?
So I started my blog February 2015, I believe it was, and then my next one, the Blogsmith, it's probably about 6 months ago.
Okay, fantastic. So listening to your stories, it's really inspiring, and I actually read a piece somewhere online talking about, I guess, millennials or people doing what they call a side hustle, which you might kind of relate to in the fact that people are doing other things outside their normal job. One of them blogging and doing other things. So with this whole idea of side hustle, how does that impact you in terms of where you want to go in the next phase of your brand with your blog or without your blog?
So for me, I think my blog has served as like a portfolio for all of the things that I've been able to do, like companies I've been able to work with, just to show that I've been able to like be accountable and publish on a consistent basis, and the kind of topics that I write about. And so I can use that to present to other people. I got a job managing some social media for the gym that I worked for a while because of my Instagram account, because I've had that proven track record of things that I was able to do. And so if I'm ever interested in another job, like outside of blogging, like, marketing or photography or anything like that, I can show them all of the stuff that I've done with that blog and kind of give that to them. So it's just been building up like over the years.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. How about you?
Well, I would say that side hustles are more a part of my past that created my future. I've actually been freelancing since about sophomore year of college, and it was actually my boss at the time who gave me the freelance assignment. He's like, hey, I have this friend who needs a website. Like, I don't have time to do it. Maybe you want to take that on in addition to your responsibilities here. And so from there, I kind of discovered, you don't need an organized company structure or whatever to be able to make money outside of work. And from there, I've kind of always had at least one side project going on or side hustle, whether it was like web design, whether it was doing freelance writing for someone or also doing social media stuff. But then when I kind of had that light bulb moment and I decided to quit my job, that's when I started to get more serious about having multiple, side hustles going on at once. And so that's that. I mean, I guess that's basically what my business is. It's multiple side hustles put together. But with that in mind, the main thing I do right now is article writing. But one of my side hustles or side projects, I guess you could say, is myself and another Chicago blogger are in the process of putting together what's going to be like a blogging book club / mastermind / discussion forum. It's still very much in the developmental stages, but it's something that I'm now working on in addition to the service part of my business. But I'm hoping, can help make my workload a little bit more even and, not like clients who need stuff at 1 a.m. or,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Really like how you've both taken the blog, helped to identify who you are, and kind of propelled you to the next best thing or the next step for you.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for current bloggers? As we know, the blogosphere is saturated with quite a bit of them, of all ages and interests. What advice do you have for someone who wants to move forward or kind of use their blog as a stepping stone? Kind of like what Erin said, her blog acts as a virtual portfolio of all the things she's done, kind of documenting clients and work that she's done. What advice do you have for other bloggers that are looking for the next best thing or the next step for them?
I would say if you have a dream, an idea, a passion, anything that you want to do, even if you just want to start a blog, I would say go for it. You'll never know unless you try. And what else was I going to say? I think that is the most important thing, because I took a lot of time like waiting and dragging my heels and being like, well, I don't know exactly how all the steps here are going to work, and so I'm not going to do it at all. And I think you can figure it out as you go. So I think you should always just reach for whatever inspires you. And I also think that you should come back to me because I lost my second thought. So Maddy, go.
Okay. I mean, I definitely agree with everything you said. And in fact, both of my blogs are on their second iteration right now, because ultimately I think the most important thing is the content. Yeah, you want it to look pretty. You want to follow best practices, whatever. But until you put yourself out there, you can't get followers. I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere, and people understand that. So definitely agree with that. As far as like taking it to the next step from like a business or side hustle perspective, there's a couple of things that I would recommend. Like, one, make it really easy to get in touch with you.
Yes.
I actually include my email, and I should probably get a separate email for this, but I include like my main email on like my Instagram, my Twitter, my LinkedIn. Like, I don't want there to be any reason why someone couldn't get in touch with me for a business proposal, even if we're not connected. On that note too, bloggers tend to be pretty shy people stereotypically, and you really have to get out of your comfort zone and go to networking events. And that could be, other blogger events, and then maybe you can find some like co-conspirators, collaborators, whatever, that have connections that you could use. But also like business networking events too. Depending on what the subject is from your blog, it's likely that you could find a lot of people who might need your expertise, your services, your writing skills, whatever. That's really the main stuff that I would recommend.
I remembered my second one. So it would also be, if you want to work with a brand at all, if you have a great idea about how you could feature some product or make a recipe or something out of it, don't hesitate to reach out to those people, because I think a lot of us just sit around and we're like, that would be so great, and I'll just wait until someone contacts me. And either that's never going to happen, or it's going to take much longer than if you reach out on your own. You say, hey, I have this idea. I think this would be a great partnership, a great collaboration, and don't be afraid to just reach out to those people yourself and see what they have to say. You guys may start a conversation, find a different way to work together. They may agree, they may not, but you won't know unless you actually go off. Oh, I got a question here. How do you reach out to the companies you want to partner with? So usually I will either look on LinkedIn to find out who works in their marketing department, or sometimes they even have like very specific like social influencer roles. And so I'll find that person and I'll either send them a message on there, or I'll find their email. Or I will send the company a message on Twitter and just say like, hey, love your stuff. Like who would I contact about a potential collaboration or something like that? Just send out emails everywhere until you find the right person. And then even if you're not sure, I'll usually email them and say, I'm not sure, if you're the one that I'm supposed to talk to. If not, could you give me the information or the email for whoever this would be most relevant for?
Great question, and Stone 206.
Yeah.
Another thing I would add, as far as reaching out to companies, if you are loyal or you have a specific brand that you currently use, what you can do is reach out to them through Twitter, Facebook, and then also sometimes a lot of bloggers will get emails from PR companies.
Yeah.
I typically will look at the PR company website to see what other brands or sponsors that they work with.
Good idea.
Kind of, who else are they working with?
Yeah.
Getting good that way. So you don't necessarily need to speak directly with a brand. Those PR folks, those public relations are key as well. We don't want to forget those individuals. Those are our connections, almost liaisons.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Bruce.
Oh no.
Hi.
All
right. Oh, there she is.
Oh, she's back.
Okay. I'll see you soon.
I know that you both mentioned a little bit about the writing and how it's taken off for you both. What other what other bloggers do you know of have kind of taken their blog in a different direction as well, whether it's continuing writing or other opportunities? Do you know of any others?
I know a lot of like freelance writers, I guess, who have kind of made their career, like their like thought leadership role, expertise, whatever, over specifically the topic of freelance writing. So like for people who might be interested in that being their side hustle activity or learning more about like what that might entail, the individuals I would recommend you follow would be Gina Horkey, Elna Kane, and then my mentor and previous client, Brent Jones. Those would be kind of like three of the main ones that I would default to for someone who's just starting out.
Yeah. I can't think of anybody right offhand. But I know if you have a blog, and like I've done a lot of freelance writing since I also have the fitness stuff and I'm a trainer. So I've used that as well to reach out to other like specifically fitness places and things like that, and written just specifically about fitness. And so you can use that blog plus your other abilities to kind of branch off that way to get some writing things done.
Some bloggers that I know have, at least in the food realm, what they have done is, I know a few that have created their own spice line, have gone to teach private culinary classes, such as myself, or do food tours. Other ways they've gone beyond the blog is writing cookbooks, connecting with travel, so that they are reaching out to different commerces whenever they travel to tie in food and travel. So it's really anywhere. You can go from writing a book, being on various publications, cable TV, working with actual retailers. So it's really a wide net of ideas that everyone can move into in terms of going beyond the blog. It does not have to always sit in a publication,
right? Yeah.
Or So even ways to kind of, I don't know, brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that all bloggers all aspire to be some great writer.
Mm-hmm.
So for those bloggers that are kind of figuring out what do they want to do next, that's something you can take it a spin. And I really do believe that your blog can act as a virtual portfolio, documentation of what you've done and the skills that you continue to hone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's great. So what's for everyone?
What's next?
What's
next?
Oh.
So for me, I'm in the middle of writing a book, of self-publishing a book. Amazon has a platform called CreateSpace where you can publish the book, you upload it, they print it out, and then it's available on Amazon to sell. And so what it's going to be is basically my addiction story, and then for the first half, and then the second half is a bunch of lessons I wish that I had known when I was younger, like growing up, because it took me a really long time to learn like basic things like about feelings, that I was allowed to have feelings, and things like that. And I've done a lot of public speaking at conferences as well, not only about addiction, but also about blogging in general, and how it's really important to be authentic in your content, and create good content. And just, I love talking about blogging and everything all together. So I would love to do more of that, and just like this kind of stuff. And I also think I want to try to host some kind of like wellness events here in the city. That's in the super like developmental stage, because I don't quite know how to do it yet, but maybe have like a fitness event, or like a trivia night, or a girls night, or something that kind of brings everybody together, and also helps raise money to donate to like mental health organizations or addiction organizations and things like that. So still working on that. I had that idea like yesterday. So we're still working on that. I think that's all I have on my plate.
That's like a lot. I
Yeah,
know you can do it. You've done it so far. You're on a roll.
Yeah.
Thanks, Erin. How about you, Maddy?
Like I said, I think my next main thing is really working on this like blogging book club thing, finding a good structure for that, figuring out like how to make that work, make it a viable business option. The other thing that I'm working on right now is another one of my Chicago connections, friends, and business partners. We put on an event called Bloggers Meet Startups. And so what that is just kind of connecting these two groups where, you know, they have a lot of similarities, and they also have a lot of ways to potentially work together. And so it's really like a pitch fest of sorts, where you have the chance to talk about your idea, practice your pitch, and then when all is said and done, you can then connect with the people whose ideas you're interested in, and everyone gets a chance to pitch if they want to. There's a couple featured people, and then you know, everyone else gets like 60 seconds to do theirs. So part of it is just building out that event, getting more awareness, monetizing it, and then we're also interested in expanding it to other cities that have, you know, a good blogger and startup community.
Nice.
So those are the main things. Obviously, you know, trying to grow my business, I guess, as well, trying to get better and more interesting clients as I, you know, figure it out. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice.
So since both of you have started your blog within the last 5 years or so, 3 years or 2 years, what do you think is the biggest challenge right now that you're facing as a blogger trying to move beyond the blog?
Probably time. It takes a lot of work, and like I do make some money from it, but it's not my full-time thing. And so if I were to make it that, there's that risk about like not having enough money come in, because I'll need more time to do it, and then I'll have to give up the things that actually make me money. So I think in the beginning it's really a lot of just a lot of work, because I still need to have an income and put in the same like hours to build the blog and take photos and edit and write content and all of that stuff, until it can kind of like float on its own. So I think just if I had unlimited time, that would just be amazing, and unlimited money, but but I don't.
So I would say like one of the biggest challenges of taking your blog and like trying to make money off it or taking it to the next level is really just like valuing your own time and your content. So I haven't extensively tried to get brand partnerships or sponsored posts on my blog just because I'm so busy with all this other stuff that I don't even have time to like give the normal content the attention it deserves. But as I like kind of return back to that, as I get my foot on the actual like money making part of my life, I'm starting to negotiate with more brands who have reached out to me, and sometimes you come across a situation where they kind of expect to get everything for free. And when you're starting a blog, I think it's a good idea to take those opportunities to work with brands to get them on your portfolio, to build out your press page and to get, maybe some positive feedback from them that you can use as testimonial quotes, or maybe you just want some free stuff, whatever, and that's a good way to get it. But I think once you get to the point where you've built out your blog, you have an audience, you can prove that it's engaged, you have something really special, you need to treat that like a marketing medium, like an advertising medium. And if people want to work with you, they need to pay the price that, you put on it. Like, be reasonable, but also don't undervalue the time that it takes to create content for them. And also the fact that they get access to your audience and, they have a chance to influence those people. You always have to protect your audience. So don't put stuff in front of them that you wouldn't get behind. There's a cost associated with creating sponsored posts. So I would say just always value yourself and, come back to that, set rules that you don't break regarding sponsored content.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you both feel about the blogosphere now with so many bloggers out there? Some might say it's saturated. Some might say that, there's room for everyone. We just have to find our own niche and our place in the big world of blogging. How do you feel about the blogosphere? Is it saturated to you, or it's just fine?
I do think there are way more bloggers than there used to be. I was actually talking about it the other day. I think like if you got into the blogging game maybe like 2007, 2008, you can get away with more of those like life casting blogs where it's just like, this is what I did today and this is what I ate and it's great. And because you've built up that following since back then, when that was like, there weren't that many blogs. And now if you're going to start a blog now, I don't think anyone's going to do that because there's so many blogs. Like, why is somebody going to want to care about your life and what you're doing day to day? And so I think now starting a blog, you have to, the bar is much higher and you have to have something that you can offer your readers, something that they can learn from, whether it's like recipes or life lessons or how-tos or anything like that. Like I know Maddy has like cheap things in Chicago and that kind of stuff. And so that's just why I think it's a little bit harder, and just the bar is a lot higher now if you jump in, which isn't to say that you shouldn't if it's something that you want to do, because now like prices are dropped down on, like, there's plenty of themes and stuff to make your blog look professional and look nice. So even though the bar is higher, the prices have come down because there's so many people offering their services and things like that. So that's how I have been seeing it lately.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the term life casting.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that before, but that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
But that brings up a good point, because a lot of people are talking about, you got to have a niche or whatever, and it sounds like a buzzword, but it's so true, because it's important to define yourself, and you can sometimes kind of waver from that and share content that's maybe a little bit different, but still sort of related. But if you waver too far from that, then people start to get confused, and then they don't want to follow you anymore because they don't know what to expect. Most of the time, people just want their expectations to be met, essentially, or exceeded, but definitely not. They definitely don't like surprises in terms of the content that you put out. So it's important that if you are going to contribute to what really is an oversaturated, internet in general. That's not just bloggers, it's every publisher who's pumping out content to try to achieve SEO benefits, whether it's interesting or not. You have to do something to stand out from those people. Otherwise, you're just adding to this, huge amount of stuff that nobody wants to read. So, I actually used to have like a category on my blog that was called Cheap Week. And it was basically just like all the stuff that I did during the week. But I was like, okay, nobody actually cares about that stuff unless they can do that stuff too, And if I'm writing it after the fact, they probably can't do that stuff. So I stopped doing it. I realized that it was really more of like me just like journaling in a way. And so I didn't want to use my blog as a journal. I wanted it to be a resource for people to find cool stuff to do in Chicago. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for anyone who has something interesting to say and something that they're passionate about. But if you can't accomplish those two things, then don't bother.
So we got a question from Vermilion Roots. So speaking of niche, how do you know you picked the right one for you? What is right or wrong?
That's for you, Maddy.
Okay.
Oh no, it says to Maddy.
Well, you should definitely tune in, but I have one thing to say on that. I would say you definitely know you've picked the wrong niche if it's hard to write about it after a few posts. And if you can't, I was actually talking to a guy about this the other day who was like, I want to be a blogger. I was like, well, once you decide on your topic, sit down by yourself with no distractions and try to write out 50 post ideas. It sounds like a lot, but if you can't come up with that, how the hell are you ever going to keep writing about stuff?
Yeah, so the beautyist also asked or mentioned that she was going to start a niche, but wants to know, is it better to start off more general? I agree with Maddy that if it's a topic that you can wholeheartedly talk about, it's your passion, you're really excited about it, you found something. If you're struggling finding content, talking about it, and kind of writing about it, then it might not be a good fit. But you can always start general. There's no right or wrong with a blog. It's really your space in the internet to write whatever.
And just to jump in on that too, like when I started mine, it was I talked about foods I liked, and I talked about running a lot because I was running. And now I don't talk about running at all really because we're on a bit of a break right now. So I just kind of talked about whatever. I was like, hey, I went to the farmer's market and they had cool food, and it started general. And then as I got used to it, as I found like what I was passionate writing about, I was able to kind of narrow it down and tunnel it down to like specific types of posts to write about. So either is good.
So for in the time that you both had your blog, have you switched your focus a little bit? So I know you just mentioned, Erin, kind of a couple different things. Are you still continuing to kind of filter through what really is your voice, or have you found what it is you really want, and then self-changing and as you kind of go through life?
I think for right now, I've found what works, and they're very consistent topics that I continue to post about. That may change. Like before, I was obsessed with running, and then now I'm not anymore. So it could change going forward. What I found that I did also was all those posts about food. I would write like a whole post about like, I found this snack and it's really good, and the whole post would be about that. And so now what I've done is kind of shifted that kind of stuff to my Instagram account. So my Instagram is like all food because I just like taking pictures of it. Oh, thanks. And so it's like the blog is more topics. The Instagram is really just like food, but also ties into that healthy living. And it's not about, it shows that like you can be healthy and balanced and still eat like ice cream and pizza and whatever. And it's just about finding that balance. And there's a lot of delicious food here, so you should eat it all.
Definitely eat it all.
Yeah.
Has your focus switched throughout the time that you've had your blog, or are you pretty close to a specific topic?
I mean, I would say my blog is in the process of switching now, and it's switched from what it first was. So to kind of, I guess, explain that, when I first started the blog, I had like an obsession with that TLC show, like extreme couponing. And I was like, all right, not that I would want to go to like Jewel and just have like, a billion coupons and like, just like annoy everyone. Like that's not my game. But I was like, I think it's interesting how these people are, saving a ton of money by just kind of like going about things a different way. So when I started that blog, I was like, okay, what are some things that people don't know about city living, specifically with Chicago, that could help them save money? And like one of my major blog posts that I wrote that people seem to like is how to get into Lollapalooza for free, which the secret is you volunteer, like there's always like I guess a trade-off, time versus money. You have to decide like what's more important to you, or, is the time worth the money savings? Like if you were to make it into, an hourly rate or something like that. The blog really initially started as kind of being like a nickel and dime approach to thriftiness in city living. But now, like I'm the type of person who, likes Apple products, and I will always upgrade. And like, my computer, like I spec'd it out top of the line. Like, obviously I'm not a complete cheap ass. I spend my money where I think it is best spent, on quality products, on stuff that I think will last. So it kind of became not being like a total cheap ass, but being like smart about decisions you make, and, not always like falling to instant gratification, but sometimes waiting for a sale. And here's when that's going to happen. So the third iteration of my blog is going to be, because I'm not going to be in Chicago in the fall. And so it needs like a total change. And I don't want that content to just completely be useless. I want to still be able to use it in some way. And a lot of it I wrote because I wanted it to be general advice. So I'm kind of in the third phase of my blog right now. I'm not 100% sure where it's going to go, but it's probably going to be more general lifestyle tips, but also like a travel edge, just to kind of match the fact that I'm moving. And I do like to travel, and that's where a lot of people waste a lot of money. So
awesome. So next question, I think we can do this as the last question before Q&A. Where do you see your blog in, say, 3 years?
3 years. Well, hopefully I will have this book done by then. I wanted to do something that would create more of a passive income. So to do something that then I could just like sell, do products, and that was the first one that came to mind. I don't think I want to go and do like how-to workshops. I feel like that's also super saturated now, like how to start a blog and how to get more followers. And for a while I was like, yeah, I want to do that. But I think it just really like staying authentic to me, and whatever, maybe these workshops that I thought of yesterday will be a good thing. Just kind of like grow and outside of the blog, and just to continue to have it be a resource for people to come to who need help with living and just want some inspiration and motivation and things like that.
Okay, sounds good. How about you, Maddy?
I would say, kind of like I said, I definitely want to transition it to being not just about Chicago. So I guess it kind of is a case study in the fact that like you can get like maybe not too specific, but you can dig yourself into a hole if your circumstances change. But it's not insurmountable, right? Because you can change your branding, you can reuse your content. It's not as difficult as it seems. Like I'm already, even though I don't know what my name is going to be yet, I've already kind of made a checklist of all the things that I'll need to do in order for this to work. So you can kind of plan in the background. But yeah, I mean, I would say in 3 years, I hope that my new concept is something that people still like and are interested in. And I hope it helps people and gets more readers, just as any blogger would want. Typical goal.
Great.
Yeah.
So we got a question from Petchluck. They say, once you pick a niche, what are your tips on how to get the word out to your area of coverage to the right people? Mm-hmm. How would you respond to that? Maddy?
Well, I would say one thing that's important with regards, like going back to like connecting with PR people is like first thing you should do when you start your blog is get in contact with Cision and make sure that you kind of register with them. By doing that, I don't always know where PR people come from, I guess. Like I know that I've signed up to be on some of their lists, but like last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I got some like random invite to like go to like a Sox VIP suite just because they found me through Cision and they were looking through Chicago bloggers like as their search criteria. So it's like cool stuff happens as long as you make it easy to be found and contacted, like I said before. And then as far as like getting word out to like readers, definitely like Facebook ads are a good way to do that. And you don't have to spend like hundreds of dollars, but just by creating sort of like a compelling reason, just like with an email pop-up, you know, use your space on the Facebook text where you can like say what the purpose of the ad is. Use that to be like, hey, this is like why you would want to read my blog. These are the cool things that'll happen. Maybe I have contests and giveaways often you should know about. I actually can't do ads for my Facebook page though, because it has ass in the name.
Oh, no.
So that's one reason I really want to change my name.
Cider, that thing that you mentioned, the people noticed by Cision, is that, what was that?
What about it?
Can you repeat the names? I think people are asking who they register with.
Cision. So it's, yeah, Cision. I'm going to type it too.
Awesome.
So they basically, it's like an enterprise media list thing for like big organizations and PR people and stuff like that. It's based in Chicago, but it's, I mean, it's a really cool database. Everyone who's in media or journalism uses it to make connections.
I would also, I'd also sign up with a place called FourCard. So it's FOOHR card. And that's the same kind of thing. It just kind of throws up like all your stats, and it's actually good for me to go and check on there because it shows like my engagement on all my social media channels, like over the past month, and if they're going up and down and all this stuff. And so it kind of ranks you and tells them what you're all about. And then I got like an invite from LA to come to some event, and I was like, I live in Chicago, and they were like, oh, sorry, saw you on FourCard. And I'm like, okay. So they do look for you on there.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I also want to chime in and kind of give a shout out to LinkedIn. A lot of people use that for professional reasons, so why not consider that for blogging as well? That's a good way to kind of see who's in with various industries that you are tied with, whether it's fitness, food, publications, and writing. So that's something you might want to check into. LinkedIn, find out who's who in the world that you're writing about or focusing your blog on. So that's great. We got Cision, FourCard, and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Are there other groups that you want to kind of mention for folks to get the word out once they find their?
I think what I also did was I used to use Twitter a lot more. I think it used to be a lot more helpful. It's kind of gotten like crazy and saturated now as well, but making like Twitter groups, I would just search for, like when I was looking for freelance opportunities, I would like search for editor, and then it would bring up like everyone who had editor in their description, and then I would make like a group of that, and then I would like send them messages or just to find out who they were. And also if you can join like Facebook groups that are specific to your niche, that's also been really helpful. So there's plenty of like fitness ones, there's just blogging ones in general, and just like finding a community is really important because everybody is really supportive in my experience. And so you can reach out to them with questions about like blogging about anything, you know, in that sphere. And then everyone's always also been really good about like sharing. If you're like, hey guys, can you like share this article? And everybody's always like stepped up, and it's been really helpful. So then there's tons of Facebook groups. So just like look for whatever subject you want to write about and blogging and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Facebook groups are great, especially like if you're trying to show engagement. They have those like comment, you know, threads or whatever. And then one I joined recently is like Instagram marketing masterminds or something like that. And the leader of that group put together this sort of like engagement group thing. So like there'd be like 10 people to a group, and then every time you post on Instagram or like once a day or something like that, you send your post to that group, and then they have to like it and comment it, and then you do the same for them. But it's like, you know, then you create all this, you know, natural engagement. And it's, you know, if you can find stuff like that in groups, that's a great use of it, because it just helps you build up your own, you know, how people perceive you. Trying to think if I'd add anything to that. A lot of bloggers find a lot of use with optimizing their blog posts for Pinterest, like having specific images that are like long and skinny, and using keywords and stuff. I haven't given it the attention it deserves, but I know that a lot of people have had a lot of success with that.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions, chat board? None?
Right.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for the time that you spent today and sharing with us your experiences, your stories, and hopefully others have enjoyed it just as much as I have.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks.
Definitely. Thanks for inviting us.